Welcome to the talk show Life Stories with Marc Hoberman. The goal of this show is to provide a learning experience to people of all ages, with guests from various fields in academics, a wide range of industries, and insight into the many forms of art, athletics, and entertainment. We hope you enjoy the show. Filmmaker, producer, writer, actor Danny Arroyo is today's guest. Danny will talk about his experiences as an actor, as well as his new projects on the horizon.
Actor, writer, producer, director, Danny Arroyo. Welcome to Life Stories with Marc Hoberman.
Hey, man, I really appreciate you having me on board. I've been looking forward to this.
Me too. So much to get through. You're a busy guy, but let's start from the beginning, Danny. Did you always want to be an actor?
I know that in the beginning, I loved TV more than I think is normal, watching cartoons and acting them out, watching what movies I was allowed to watch at a young age. Your parents are going to, allow you to watch certain things, and then pretending to be that person. My brother, me and him would just pretend to be like, you're going to be this guy. You'll be Tom. I'll be Jerry. You be Jerry. I'll be Tom. We just start acting these things out. So I think I had that in me for the longest time without really understanding that this was a profession, seeing people on TV perform, that was a job. My young mind even assumed that they lived in my TV. Oh, they're in my TV somewhere. They're there and they're performing for me. And it wasn't, until years later when I saw a theater production, I saw some actors that I admired do an interview. And I went, oh, wait a second, these are real people. I see Christopher Reeve do an interview talking about Superman.
Right.
And I'm going, wait a second, wait. Oh, wow, this is a job. This is a profession people do. They go to school for this. So that kind of is how it progressed for me there. But yeah, it probably was always in me. I just didn't know at the time.
Of course. And I got to tell you, body of work, when you read your resume, you should really be about 94 years old because there's so much done. Maybe you slept one day on a Tuesday in November in 2014, but it's crazy the work you've done. It's also interesting. I love that you mentioned superheroes and you mentioned Christopher Reeve. So I do a lot of work in camps and training staff and things of that nature. And Christopher Reeve was once the featured speaker, the keynote speaker at the Tri-State Camping Conference. And this is, of course, unfortunately after his accident. And he was talking about his book, aptly titled Still Me. And I got to meet him and he was in the wheelchair and we talked for a little bit. So, what a real life superhero.
He's a real life Superman.
Yeah.
He's a real life Superman. I have a small envy for you that you got to meet him. I never had a chance to meet him. But years back, when I had done some interviews and mentioned my passion for Superman and Christopher Reeve, the Christopher Reeve Foundation actually reached out. And I was their ambassador for a good 2, 3, 4 years, where when I would go to red carpets or events, I would speak on their behalf. They invited me to some of their functions. So I got to know them very well. But I never had a chance to meet Christopher. Actually, he had passed prior to me being a part of this. But it was a very proud moment for me to be able to say that I did work, not work, but, be a part of it and represent him as best as I could. Because he definitely is an inspiration for me. Seeing how
I want to dig a little deeper into that. I didn't realize that you were the ambassador. So what did some of those duties include?
Well, first off, trying to raise awareness. So when you're speaking on red carpets, you have a tendency just to talk about yourself and your projects. And I was able to speak on their behalf, let people know how to send money, for research. If they wanted to also come on board and help out, if they wanted to speak about it at their event, just anything to keep raising awareness and raising more money for this cause here, because one day we will find a way to cure paralysis and heal spinal cord injuries. That will happen, and I'm looking forward to that. So that was kind of my duties, and a few times they had events that I would go to and just support, and they had people being interviewed, and I'd sneak in there and go, hey, this is Danny Arroyo, and, fully proud to be a member of the Christopher Reeve Foundation, and, please give what you can. It was a great time. And then eventually just kind of time went by, and I should really be reaching out now that we're chatting here, because it's been so long since we last really had connected. you kind of inspired me, and I maybe want to get back to talking with them, because life happens. People get busy, and then
Sure.
things happen. But there's a reason why we're talking about it, and the universe is always serendipitous in its ways.
Oh, for sure. And I want to talk about a little connection to that. I have a friend who also is my business partner in some things that I do, Daniel Echevarria. And he and I do some work together in schools and whatnot. And he's very into meditation. I could tell just by your answer. That's how he talks. But you sound like you're into it the same way he is. So when he talks about meditation, it's almost like drinking water. It's a given that during the day, he has to meditate. Now, I know that's something you're into. What is it you find from meditation?
I'm loving where these conversations are going, because I'm always inspired to speak on it.
Mm,
Um, Knock wood, grateful and happy. Never missed a day of meditation now in the last almost 9 years.
mm,
Every morning when I wake up, it's very rare that there's a morning that goes by that maybe I don't do a meditation, that I will make up for it in the afternoon. So I have not missed a day, but 9 years,
mm.
haven't missed a day. And it's just changed the game of life for me. Not just for career or anything else, just life. And when you get your life in that kind of an order, everything else just falls into place. And everything else that you feel is an issue, or you just feel slighted by, or you just want to just rant and rave about, or even just overreact to, it just sets a whole other tone. And that's what it's done for me. And it's also up my level of people that are in my circle, because you are a reflection of, I firmly believe this, you're a reflection of the 5 people that you hang around the most.
Mhm.
I'll even up it to 10, if you include family and whatnot. And if anybody in that circle is just less than their best, less than the high standards, or they're just things about them that could bring you down, you will be brought down. So it's up my game in so many levels. And I couldn't recommend it enough. When I have friends that I talk to about it, and they seem reluctant, not that I push, never, ever, ever push your beliefs on anybody. People will discover their way as time goes on. But if they're open and willing, I'll meditate with them. And it's just as simple as sitting down and just listening to a visualization meditation, or just listening to a gratitude meditation, something that just inspires, calms you down, and allows you to think before you react when it comes to life. That's what the meditations do for me.
Well, I have to tell you selfishly that I was an educator for over 30 years, and I really know there's a place for this in the schools, because I'm not happy with what I see in education. Unfortunately, the last 5 to 7 years with the anti-bullying, unfortunately, the school shootings, things like that, there's a lot of pressure. So I'm hoping someday they adopt that, because anybody I talk to who does it uh, just has a totally different mindset than other people I know. So I think that's great. I love the fact that you say, we always say you are who you hang around. So that's an amazing thing. And I know you bring it into, we'll talk later how you bring that into your career. But based on the interviews I've had with many actors and actresses, Danny, the goal is to constantly be working. It really isn't about awards. You might get them along the way, but you've won many awards, Best Actor awards at various film festivals. So how does that bring your love of acting full circle or to another level?
It's like having the cherry on top. I mean, really, when it comes to this career, you're just constantly in the kitchen, just making the cake. If you want to just stay in that realm there, you're just constantly making the cake, adding the ingredients. It's just, the cake gets better and better as time goes on, because you just learn how to be better. You actually, it's not learning about how to be better. You do have to take acting classes. You learn how to just encompass everyday life and just make it a part of the performance that you're doing. The more that you live, the more that you can express then. And as you're in the kitchen just making the batter, all of a sudden then you can add the little, the after it's being cooked, you can add the layers, you can add the flavoring, you can add the frosting. And then all of a sudden, if you win an award or two, which I humbly am so grateful that it did happen, it's just a cherry. It's like, oh, we acknowledge the work that you've done. We see the hard work that you put into it. Here you go. And it's a very nice feeling. But what's funny is that when I have received these awards, and I was grateful, and partied it up with the film festival people, and whoever else were gracious enough to give me an award. In your head, you're thinking, how can I take this now and put it into the ingredients so I can get more work? You're always trying to find a way to just keep working and working. So I don't think we ever leave the kitchen. I think we're always finding ways to expand, become better, and also expand the people that we know, to see if there's anybody out there that will see our work and then maybe feel we're worthy of being a part of their project or maybe being a part of ours. Because you can't just be an actor nowadays. Not to just delve off from your question there, but you just can't just be an actor. You have to wear many hats. Being an actor just by itself really is a long gone thing that people used to do. Now it's I write, you produce, you direct, you edit, you do all this, and I think that's how you have a sustainable career.
Oh, for sure. And I love the cake and the cooking in the kitchen metaphor. That's great to see how you put all those together.
It just in my head. I mean, I wasn't planning on this at all, but it just seemed to make the most sense.
Yes,
I mean,
we don't do these questions in advance, folks.
no, we sure don't.
So also, I love the fact, because I've interviewed so many people who have, the average person does not realize how many people in the acting world hone their craft with acting lessons, acting schools in college. I know you've had a degree, which we'll get into in a bit. But you've taken lessons, you've honed your craft, and I know that I told you I also had Antonio McKay on my show from Sangre Negra.
Yeah,
But you're with him? But what's it like working with him, Erik Estrada, and Eric Roberts? What does that do for you?
well, first off, when I saw Erik Estrada the first time on the set of Sangre Negra, I was, you know, I've been, the thing is, you meet a lot of celebrities along the way doing his career, and there's sometimes you see them and you go, wow, that's so and so. That's look at who she is. Wow. And then sometimes you've really kind of geek out and you go, whoa, like you just kind of remember from a childhood or remember your parents having talked about somebody and there they are. That's how I was when I met Erik Estrada. I just remember being really young and just kind of seeing him on TV, and it just kind of hit me. And it's funny because I've met bigger name like Hollywood quote unquote A-listers, and it was like cool to meet them. Shook their hand, and it was great. But sometimes you just meet those little nostalgic childhood ones, and it just kind of moves you a little bit more. I've had that happen a good 3 or 4 times, and Erik was one of them. And that he was such a nice dude on top of it. Back to the kitchen metaphor. There's a chair. It just made it that much better. And then to find out, it's like, oh, you're playing my dad, my TV dad. Okay, wow, this is just amazing. So I thank Antonio McKay there, because he's the one that really pushed for me to get this role playing Christian Santos here. To his pretty Ricky Santos, he plays my older brother. So thanks to him for that there, and it's a great series. We have 4 episodes out right now. Sangre Negra, Black Blood on Amazon and on Tubi. So we have 4 out, and season 2, the remaining 4 episodes will be coming out. Fingers crossed, sometime in 2024. We're hoping.
Excellent. And that resonates with me so much because it's amazing. I'm not a stalker anymore, but before I had the show, I would definitely consider myself almost a stalker. I mean, if I flip the camera up a little bit, there's a lot more people with me sitting with Gene Simmons and meeting Mike Tyson and things of that nature. And I have to tell you, there is a difference meeting someone that you respect for the work they do. But when you meet somebody who was part of your childhood, totally different switch gets flipped. Just totally different. It's like, oh my God, you're the one I saw, and you're the one I wanted to this, and you're the one I wanted to that. So it's very difficult to, and now you're with them. Now you're a peer. So that's a full circle dream come true for sure. And I know.
I'm going to interject really, really quick with Erik Estrada. Super fast story that I went to a WonderCon 2024, like maybe 3 weeks ago. 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago. Man, time flies really fast. And I see in the distance there that there's Erik Estrada doing a signing there. So I went as Tony Stark, so I had the goatee with the glasses and Tony Stark mask hanging here. And I just kind of stood at his table. I just kind of was looking down like this as he was talking to people. And I was like, I wonder if he's going to remember me. And finally it was my turn. I stood up there. I just kind of looked at him, and he's like, I know you. And then I kind of just did this. And he went, Danny, what's up? And I tell you, it was just thrilling It was thrilling. Just and we chatted up, took some pictures, and hopefully we'll have some lunch again soon.
That's great. That's, you know, and earlier we mentioned your vast resume. It really is, I say it, you know, as a compliment. It's ridiculous. I could read it, but the show's only 25 minutes long. So there's so much stuff you've done. But on my show, I know there's been several bumps along the way, and I call that the story behind the glory. So I really want to get into that now for the viewers, because I want to know, what struggles did you have to overcome to achieve success in the entertainment industry?
This is a question I get asked a lot, and especially when someone says, "What would you tell a young actor coming on up?"
Mm-hmm.
There's a few answers to this thing here. One is you have to find a life outside of the career, because I was guilty of just thinking about this 24/7, sacrificing going on vacations, having an audition, thinking about that one for a month, even though I had like 20 more since then, and thinking about those, about why I didn't get those. It has to be, do your work, you go to class, you do your work, you know you're good, audition, let it go, enjoy your life. There has to be boundaries set. You also have to believe that you are enough. I'm going to repeat that again for those who don't quite understand what I'm saying there. If you don't believe that you are enough, meaning that you're good enough to not only book the role, but to be good at it, and maybe it's a small role, or maybe it's a big role that you're carrying the film. Maybe it's a series regular. Maybe it's you walking the red carpet and people are calling your name. They're going, hey, we want your picture. If you don't believe that you are enough, ENOUGH, if you are enough to do any of these things here, then it may be very difficult to get to the next level. So that it's not an ego thing. It's a confidence thing. It's also a thing that just makes you feel, it's like knowing your parents' love. It's like knowing the sun is going to come up. You just know you are enough. I didn't say the best. I didn't say, you are better than Marlon Brando and Meryl Streep combined, and you're just beyond everybody else. No, you're just enough, which means you're good enough. And when you really believe you're good enough and that energy starts to come out, then people start to see that without even understanding why. They just maybe like having you around, or they feel, you'd be right for this. I didn't think you'd be right for this, but now having talked to you, I just feel comfortable around you. I feel great. Know that you are enough. Stop overthinking and looking at your flaws, and start focusing and cheering what makes you a great person, what talents that you do have, what you're proud of, what you're grateful for. And it just kind of makes the whole, back to the acting question that you asked, it makes that kind of expand. Like I've gotten more success after I started believing that, as opposed to me going, oh, I could have done this better. Oh, what was I thinking? Well, oh no. People do this all the time. They find ways to beat themselves up instead of just celebrating the wins, even if it's a small win. And also I can't reiterate enough, believing that you are good enough. And not just in acting, in life, relationships, family, friends, career, you are enough. That I kind of beat that one to death, but I really do believe it.
Oh, yeah. Well, the truth is you can't beat it to death enough, especially for young people, because we have all seen, we could do a 4-hour show on people who were famous where it wasn't enough, where you get into the rabbit hole, the drugs, the scandals, the problems, the people in music and acting in this industry who died in their 30s, 40s, 50s, just far too young. And I love that you said just in life, because that, in my opinion, that is not just golden advice for the entertainment industry. That's the golden advice for life, because many people, because their parents sometimes don't think it's enough, or their siblings don't think it's enough, or their significant other doesn't think it's enough. So that's an incredible philosophy to have, and I want to thank you for sharing that. And you didn't beat it to death enough. I mean, it really is an excellent way to look at things. And I love the fact that you sound like an educator, because that's where my heart has always been. How do you draw from your education? Because you have a bachelor's degree, I believe, in film production and writing. So how have you drawn from your education? Some people don't have that education. They're in the business. They do it afterwards. So how has that served you?
Well, I'm a firm believer in class. If you are going to act, let's just stick with that for right now. You have to go to class. You have to understand what it's like to be in front of a camera. You have to learn how to audition. You have to learn how to break down a scene. You have to learn how to sustain a character, find a character, sustain a character. And in the process of that, hopefully you'll be reading with others and learn how to listen, learn how to react as you're sustaining a character. Um, I mean, I have a friend of mine, one of the few friends that I know that's never taken an acting class. That doesn't happen too often. Even the best baseball and football players have to train. So he got lucky and he was working and he kind of just learned as he was doing, role after role after role, and he's still working to this day. So more power to him. He's a good friend of mine. But in general, you gotta go to classes. Now, I remember I had the chance to go back to school. This after already having done a number of projects where my resume was looking pretty good. I had a chance to go back, and this is before really I began meditating, and the ego part of me went, "Go back to school? I mean, do I really want to do all that?"
Right.
And I had to sit down with myself and go, "You can never learn enough. You put that ego thing aside. Every day you should be trying to learn." When you're on set, regardless if you're the most veteran actor there's stuff that people can teach you don't know. And especially if you're working with people like an Erik Estrada or somebody, um, quote unquote, celebrity, you can learn from so many people. So learn from the grips. You can learn from the editor. You can learn from them. So I went back to school, and I'm grateful to say that I was able to get my degree in production and screenwriting, because again, you can't just wear one hat. You have to be able to have longevity in this career, do more than one thing. If you're an actor, good for you. But in essence, what you're doing is you're hoping that someone gives you a job,
Right.
And if we know anything about acting, I mean, as we're sharing, I think a lot of people that watch your show, if they're into wanting to understand about the industry, um, having the best audition doesn't always get you the job. Doesn't happen. That sometimes you can have the best audition, maybe even be the best person to have audition, but you're not tall enough. You're not short enough. The wrong look, or they need you to match. They needed somebody blonde. I mean, there's so many reasons why you didn't get the job. This person used to babysit, uh, the director's kid, and now they're there when there's so many reasons. So while you are still auditioning and waiting for that phone to ring, and it will ring, because you know why? You are enough. But while you're waiting for it to ring, you got to create your own stuff. You got to write your own material, or bring your friends in. Everybody's looking for opportunities. Bring them on board to work with you. If you don't know how to direct, if you're in LA, in Chicago, if you're in New York somewhere, I guarantee you, right around the corner, there's a guy who's a director. Probably your neighbor edits. Probably your friend across the way is a photographer. So the resources are there. The cell phones are available to film. So there's no reason not to. And there's 1,000,000,001 film festivals out there that will happily take a 1-minute film short that you just shot, and you have a chance to show it to your peers, and you never know what may come about. And if you're a believer in energy, know that as you're generating this great energy of like work and being productive and feeling good about what you're doing, more will come without question, 100%.
Right. And I love it, resonates so much with me, because I love what you're really saying is you need something to fall back on. You can't just do one thing. I've had so many students who were phenomenal athletes. I mean, college, free college scholarships and things like that. But, one knee injury, now what? So can't do what you wanted to do. So I love that plan and that philosophy, as I said. But you have actor, writer, producer, director. Which brings you the most pleasure?
I do love being in front of the camera, and something about creating with others, just having fun, working on the character. The director says cut, and all of a sudden, then you kind of are laughing with each other. There's a camaraderie there. I mean, it's where I understand how athletes, they say, when they retire, what are you going to miss the most? I go hanging with the fellas, hanging with the friends, and the camaraderie, the laughs. In between is so much fun. But when it's time to work, we get to work. We study. We rehearse with one another. And that in itself is also great fun. So I do love that. with that said, I've had some great times here, just on my own, sitting right here,
Right.
creating and writing and just figuring out where the story is going to go next,
Right.
what this character is going to do. This character that I created that I just love where it's going and love what she's doing. And oh, let me add this element here, this element. And you can just see, and hours will go by sometimes when you just are into the writing. And then, like a lot of writers go through, sometimes you go weeks and you just can't think of anything. And just don't beat yourself up. It's okay. You know, work on other things, work on things you can edit, work on going to classes more. There's always so many things you can do when you wear many hats. And when you're feeling the need to want to, get back to writing.
It's unbelievable advice, I have to tell you. And a lot of this is so personal. Like, thank you so much, Danny Arroyo, for being a guest and sharing your incredible experiences and your philosophy. I feel like I was in philosophy class. We keep talking about class. I hope I'm getting free credits for this. This was really some excellent information. I love how it ties in and informs your whole being as a person in the business. Just let me say quickly to the viewers, don't forget to watch us on E360 TV, available on Wednesday nights at 9 p.m. EST, available on Roku, Apple TV, Amazon Fire. Remember to follow us on social media. Life Stories with Marc Hoberman is on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and of course our YouTube channel. So remember to subscribe. Danny, thanks you so much for being here today.
My pleasure. You're amazing. Appreciate you.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you for watching Life Stories with Marc Hoberman. To contact Marc, email him at info@lifestorieswithmarchoberman.com or visit him on social media through Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and LinkedIn. Thank you for watching Life Stories with Marc Hoberman.